All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. We got a special Hump Day Hangouts today for episode number 271. Today is the 22nd of January, 2020. I'm glad I got that right because I have still been signing stuff 2019, but hopefully February will be better for me. So before we dive into everything and answer questions and tell you about the special stuff we got going on today, let's take a second and say hello to everyone. So off to my left here, I see Bradley. So Bradley, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. I was just telling you, you guys that we're going to talk about this in a minute, but the double your agency training is available today, and I've been working on the presentation and the first lesson video. I've got to record the first lesson video still because I was working on the presentation, and I actually created this. Well, I repurposed it from my real estate business. It's this kind of like marketing calculator that you can use to put in all your different activities that you want to do for marketing, for prospecting for your own agency. And it breaks it down by like monthly targeted goals, and in weekly goals, and in daily goals. And it has everything laid out into it in a spreadsheet to where you just plug in the numbers and it will change, depending on, it'll calculate how many marketing contacts you have to make on a monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis. And then you put in what your conversion rates are and all that. And it ends up spitting out like it basically will be a revenue projection tool. So it shows you that if you stick to specific marketing activities and you do it consistently, which is the key to it all, that you should be, you can expect within, plus or minus, give or take, to be able to see these particular numbers. So it's kind of a projection sheet. It's really, really cool. And I'm glad I spent a lot more time on it than I planned on. That's why the first lesson is not done today like I had hoped to. But I think it's a valuable resource that all the Double Your Agency members will certainly appreciate. So
awesome. Well, yeah, we'll circle back to that because I mean I like that, and I'm a nerd for calculators, but it's also a huge time saver. But anyways, yeah. We'll come back to that. So Hernan, I like your shirt today, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm wearing the OG. This is not original. For sale, guys. This is the original one. This is not for sale. I actually, I show up at some Hump Day Hangouts or some lives or whatever, and people will say, "Hey, where can I buy that shirt?" It's not for sale. I apologize. This was the first batch that we did. So I'm really excited, dude, because today we're launching the 2x your agency, double your agency, and it's good. It's really good. We've been working hard on it. I have some stuff that I want to share with you guys in terms of prospecting as well, how I have been able to land some high level, retainer fees, some high level consulting fees, and all that good stuff. So I'm excited to share with you guys that, and excited for today.
Nice. And last but certainly not least, Marco, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm doing good. Looking forward to the presentation today. It should be fun.
Definitely. Whoa, just about knocked everything off my desk. I'm not excited. But before we get into it, then let's talk a little bit more about 2x your agency. And I like this. I'm going to lead off with this. Was pretty fun. I had a meeting, group of guys I meet with weekly, and one of them owns a multiple six-figure agency, and he does a lot, but he focuses on funnel design and offer creation for people. And I was asking for their feedback. I said, hey, we've got our launch going on today. Here's the outline. I'd like some feedback on a couple areas. And he's like, oh yeah, like really, is it available for purchase? And I said, yeah, I gave him the URL. And then his name popped up in Slack and he bought it. I was like, yeah, that's awesome. Like he was pumped too. And he's a good example of someone where he's already had some success. And that's what we're looking for, is people who have clients. This isn't the right place if you have 0 clients and you've never worked with clients, that it may not be a good fit. But he's a great example of, hey, I've already come this far. I want to go further, and going to be putting this to use. So was really excited to see that. But Hernan or Bradley, do you guys want to talk a little bit more about some of the specifics?
I could go. Here's how I see the training that's coming up, right? There's like 3 main pillars of what we're doing. And because, again, we have been servicing small business owners and mostly digital agency owners for the past couple of years, with Semantic Mastery. And when we kept on asking, what do you guys need help with? And specifically when working with clients, when it comes to digital marketing, serving digital marketing services to them in whatever capacity. It could be SEO, it can be PPC, it can be web design, it can be graphic design, social media, Facebook ads on my end. So whatever that is, and like the pain points came back over and over again, which were like basically three. Number one, how do I get more clients, right? How do I get more clients to my agency? That is number one. Number two, how do I work with better clients? Like, how do I increase the revenue that I make for each client that I have, right? Which basically, it's like, if you can double that, you're doubling your revenue without you having to go out there and get more clients. That is pillar number two. And pillar number three is, how do I take my time back? Because if you're working with 3 or 4 clients and you're doing everything yourself, imagine doing the same for 10 clients. It's impossible to scale at that point. And the reality is that if you want to go from 4 or 5 clients to 10 or 15 clients, you cannot do it everything yourself. So what we decided to do on 2X Your Agency is basically go ahead and kind of give you a framework of A, how to prospect, how to get clients, how to get that pipeline full of leads. B, what type of clients you need to get. I think that there's an exercise that we're going to go through into how to recognize your best type of client, like the type of client that you really want to work with, right? What type of traits and kind of behaviors they need to have in order for you to work with them and be really happy and fulfilled by providing them with services. That is number two. And number three, how do you actually go ahead and outsource and delegate without compromising quality, which is one of the biggest pet peeves that we all have. We don't want to outsource because, oh, well, if I outsource to a VA, then they're going to screw up, and then it's my name on the line and all that stuff. So that's the 3 pillars that we're going to be going after. And we've been doing this for the past 6 years. So it's basically put it in a step-by-step framework for you guys to actually take action and digest and join that community. So I'm really excited about that. Those are the 3 pillars that we're going to cover. So
definitely. Before, I know Bradley's got some really cool details he wants to share, but some of this too, we're known, I feel, and we've been told this, but for great video-based training like this, we do a lot of video interaction. We're continuing that great way of doing things, no details left uncovered. I know Bradley and Hernan are going to be doing a bulk of the training, but as known, they really give you the goods. But we also, so there's a membership area. You're also going to get access to a members only Facebook group. And then for every single training lesson we're doing, we know sometimes, we've taken courses ourselves, right? Together, we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on training.
Yeah. And
so the training is great and you need that. But what if you need to come back or you need a refresher? Sometimes you don't need to watch all of that. So what Bradley's doing is, or Hernan or whoever's doing the training, is putting together these cheat sheets, basically, right? Like the resource guide for every single training session that goes on. And so I think that's basically, like, some people would add that as an upsell or, an additional cost, but we're just going to pop that in there because we know what it's like to go through, and it's nice to have a refresher, or you need to go back, you want to point someone at it and say, hey, this is exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So for each lesson, after the video lesson has been added, basically recorded, then it's going to be turned into like an executive summary and a checklist, so that every single week or every lesson, because some weeks there's going to be more than one lesson, every single lesson there will be its own executive summary and checklist. So it'll make it much easier for people to, once they've already gone through the video lesson, they'll be able to review the executive summary and the checklist to determine what needs to be done. It'll be much easier to manage that way, I think, in my opinion. And then something else is, if we have any lessons that go particularly long or whatever, we'll either timestamp them so that people can jump specifically to the sections of the video or the training. And we might even mention those timestamps in the executive summary, or we'll have them chopped up, the longer video edited into smaller pieces so that people can jump directly to whichever video they want, one or the other. So we haven't really determined that process just yet. But that said, I just want to give a quick preview as to what it is that is inside the training. It's over the course of the next 12 weeks, guys. We're going to be adding training. So it is on a drip schedule only while it's being recorded. Once it's done, it'll be all available at once. So, but obviously the price could go up at that point too. So
yeah, and it definitely will. I'll hop in while you're bringing that up, Bradley, and say that, if you want to get started with this, go to 2xyouragency.com and get started, because it is at a lower price. Obviously, we want to do it for people who are following us, who watch Hump Day Hangouts and our email subscribers, but that's only lasting for 4 days. And it is a one-time payment. And there's some reasons behind that we'll get into in a little bit, but go for it, Bradley.
Yeah. So the idea here, guys, is the 2x your agency or double your agency plan comes in 3 parts. As Hernan was just talking about, you know, we've been surveying our members, you guys, for what, 2 years now, maybe even longer. And consistently over time, we hear the same things over and over again. Is the biggest roadblock or hurdle to people's success is, number 1, consistently getting clients. Number 2 is getting, you know, good clients. So first is getting clients. Number 2 is getting clients that people enjoy working with, that, you know, pay decent amounts of money for services and that kind of stuff. And number 3 is how to get better, repeatable results, you know, reliable results, consistent results. And a lot of times we hear that people struggle with that. And then also lastly, how to grow, how to scale. And so the 2x your agency or double your agency training program is really going to be broken down into 3 major parts or 3 main areas. And I hope that each section will be basically 4 weeks. So 4 weeks for the first section, which is 2x your pipeline or double your pipeline, right? Consistently fill your pipeline with prospects so you can cherry pick and close only that are the best fit, because that is by far the one that we hear the most. And so we're going to talk about, in the first several weeks, we're going to talk about getting your mind right, your mindset right, and developing habits to have consistent leads coming into your business. You have to build a system around prospecting and then implement that system and consistently. You can't, as soon as you take your foot off the gas, you're going to start slowing down your leads. And that's the peaks and valleys that most people go through. And I myself have been through that through my own marketing agency, through my real estate business, through many businesses. If, you know, what happens is we figure out that we need money, right? We need revenue to come into our business. So out of desperation, we go out and start prospecting for leads to try to pitch our services. And we get a few leads, right? Whatever it is that we're doing, whether it's email or you know, cold calling or whatever the case is for generating leads, most of the time, most people will typically, once they have some leads come in, they stop the prospecting so that they can work on processing the leads, right? Doing audits or analysis of the prospect's web, you know, doing web audits or analysis, online presence analysis, that kind of stuff. Then creating proposals, right? Going through all that. And then hopefully, knock on wood, if we're lucky, we'll end up closing one or two of those prospects. And then we go into fulfillment mode where we're working on setup and doing all the things that they hired us for. And all this time prospecting has been turned off, so that once we get that client to a particular point where, you know, we can kind of take our foot off the gas, or it's not so much hands-on, you know, time invested from us. There's not so much, it's not so labor intensive for us because we've got them kind of up and running now. Then it's, back to square one. We need leads again. So it's starting that whole process over again. And that's the problem, guys. There's a direct correlation between your monthly revenue and the number of marketing or prospects that you talk to on a weekly basis or pitch or on a monthly basis, if that makes sense. So in order to have, first of all, to be able to get a steady stream of clients, and then also to be able to cherry pick just the best clients that you want to work with, you have to have a steady stream of leads coming in. So that's why I think that's got to be number one, or the first part of the 2x your agency training is getting your mind right and setting up your pipeline to where it will double or quadruple the amount of leads coming in on a consistent basis, right? Because that's the other part of that, just briefly, is if you only have, let's say you only have 10 prospects, 10 leads that have come in from whatever prospecting efforts you've done. If you've only got 10 leads, I guarantee that most of you probably try your damnedest to close all 10 of those leads, right? You'll bend over backwards at some point to accommodate the needs or the desires of the prospect that you're talking to, just because you need the damn revenue. And guys, prospects can smell desperation, you know, like dogs can smell fear. So when you're desperate for revenue, it comes across that way. And a lot of times we will make exceptions to what we would otherwise provide as services, or you know, for charges certain amounts that we charge for services and that kind of stuff. We'll make exceptions because we need the damn revenue, right? But when you have a steady stream of prospects coming in through the door, you can be very strict as to what it is that your offer is and not deviate from that, right? In other words, and you can also not have to try to close every prospect that you pitch to, because you can select the prospects, cherry pick the best prospects, the ones that seem to be the best fit, and pitch them, right? Or you can pitch all of them, but only choose to work with some. So again, you kind of pre-qualify your prospects, which is kind of what Hernan was saying. So that's number one. Number two is to 2x your results. Okay. First, once you've got your prospecting machine up and running, you've got consistent, steady amount of leads coming into your business, which is the lifeblood of your business. Then you want to be able to produce reliable and repeatable results with proven methods. So how do you do that? Well, we're going to talk about semantic mastery methods and how you can implement those to get reliable and repeatable results for your clients without you having to learn how to do everything yourself. You certainly can. We will point you in the direction of resources throughout the training if you want to learn the specifics, the nitty-gritty of how to do each one of the methods that we're going to talk about. But moreover, we're going to point you to our done-for-you services at our store, MGYB, once we've explained what the methods are and why they work and why you should be employing these for all, or implementing them for all of your clients, and in what order, what timeline, all of that kind of stuff. And then we're going to point you to MGYB, because your job as a business owner should not be to be performing all of these marketing tactics yourself, but it should be to hire it out through trusted third-party providers such as Semantic Mastery and MGYB, or to hire somebody in-house, a virtual assistant. So they don't have to be an actual employee. They could be a contractor, but like a virtual assistant or an in-house employee, and put them through the training so that they do it for you. So again, you as a business owner should be working on sales and working on growing your business, figuring out how to grow your business, not working on the actual day-to-day operation stuff. We're gonna talk about 2xing your results, how to get better results. Then lastly, the last section, the last few weeks, is going to be about 2xing your business, or scaling, essentially, double your business without doubling your time commitment. So it goes hand in hand with section 2, which is 2x your results. In that, take yourself out of the way, out of the equation, because I promise you're most likely the bottleneck in your business. I have been for many years, and for different parts of my businesses, and I've gotten way better at that. But even my newer real estate business, there are still things where I am the bottleneck, and I'm trying to alleviate that by automating, delegating, or eliminating. And that's something that we talk about. So 2x your business is going to be about how to scale, how to outsource, how to manage, how to use third-party providers, and how to really plan for growth as well. And so Hernan and I are going to be doing most of the training. Hernan and I will be doing a lot of part 1 and a lot of part 3 together. I will probably be doing the bulk of part 2 or section 2, but we're going to try to keep it in 3 sections of about 4 weeks per section. And by the end of it, if you take action and you implement what you're going to learn throughout the 2x your agency plan, you will absolutely double your agency. Whether you're going from 1 client to 2, or 5 to 10, or 10 to 20, you should be able to, as long as you take action, guys. It's just consuming the content isn't going to help. You have to actually implement what it is that you learn. And so it's going to be kind of a fast-paced thing. We're going to go through a lot, but it's going to be very beneficial. And obviously, if you have any need additional assistance and you're ready to take it up to the next level, that's when you're going to come join the mastermind. So
Definitely.
What do you think, guys? Was that a pretty decent explanation?
Yeah, and I'll just add to that and say, if anyone has any questions and you're watching, definitely, of course, ask questions. If you've watching the replay, go ahead and leave a comment on the video, and we'll definitely get back to you. Something I mentioned before I see if you guys have anything else was, we have been asked, it's right now, like I said, it's limited time. We're discounting it slightly because we want to offer a good deal for people who hop in right now at the beginning. It's going to $97. But I've literally been asked, why isn't this $500 to roughly $1,000, which is kind of what comparable training from some other people out there is available at. And we talked about this and we said, we want a lot of people to take this. This is the combined knowledge that we have. We want people in there so that they can get to the point where they are generating more revenue and they have the time, and then come join our mastermind. Totally transparent on this. We're not saying, haha, this is some evil ploy to get you into the mastermind. You know about it. You can go look at it. It's at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. but we know there's a lot of people out there. If you have one client maybe or two, you know, if you lose a client, you can't, you know, you can't afford to be part of a group, a mastermind. You can't afford to even spend the time, right? So we want to get to that point where you're in a better spot where you have time to interact with others. You can be a part of the group, really contribute, learn, and then that's just adding fuel to that fire.
Yeah, I like what Adam just said a lot, because you know the one of the reasons why somebody would join the mastermind is because you're surrounded with people that are successful, right? So we're kind of giving you the blueprint for you to be successful, like successful as possible in whatever area you're lacking, whether it is prospecting or maybe you have prospecting down, but you're like, you know, running with your, with your hair on fire all day. So we want to help you solve those things so that by the end of that, you might want to join the mastermind because you will see the value of all of it. So we want to have as many people as possible. We want to make it like absolute no-brainer. It's going to be, you know, tons of value as usual, Semantic Mastery style. We've been around for 5-6 years, delivering a lot of value. So this is not going to be any different. So really excited.
7 years, damn it.
7 years.
It'll be in I think March or June or something like. Anyways, it'll be 7 years this year. So
crazy.
Very quickly, I just want to showcase this. This is available with week 1. Again, the video training and all of that will be available for this tomorrow. But this is what I call a marketing calculator or marketing projection. I basically repurposed this from a my real estate business. So I spent some time in there editing it today to kind of make it apply to a marketing agency. And this is great, guys, because it breaks down, like it's a calculator that will break down what your marketing activities should be. And if you plug in all your numbers, which, you know, you might not know all your numbers, it's going to take marketing in tracking to be able to figure out what your numbers are. But then you should be able to predictably project what your revenue will be if you hit specific marketing goals, right? So as I mentioned before, there's a direct correlation between your monthly revenue and the number of marketing attempts that you make, right? So the number of proposals that you make, and your number of proposals you make is directly correlated to the number of contacts you make with prospects. So the point is, guys, in order to get consistent results, you have to be consistently marketing, right? And you have to be, and I've even worked in the virtual assistant, you know, so that you don't have to do all this. You might have to do it at first. I assume most of you guys will have to do this yourself first, but that's fine. You can do this, build systems around it, and then kind of create a standard operating procedure or an SOP out of what it is that you've created, and then turn around and outsource that to a VA, and it's very inexpensive. So for just an example, if you said that you wanted to spend, you know, had a $500 in marketing budget for your own agency, to produce leads for your agency on a monthly basis, you can see that, you know, I've got this broken down to where if you had a VA doing 20 leads sending 20 emails per day, which could be done in 1 hour a day or 5 days per week. So essentially, and you're paying $3 an hour, it costs you $60 in virtual assistant fees over the course of a month to have a virtual assistant sending 100 emails, prospecting emails per week, right? So 400 per month. And if you get a 4%, which is probably high, but a 4% response rate, so even if we change that to say 2% response rate, that's going to produce about 8 leads per week, right? From 400 outbound emails. So that's 8 people that have at least replied positively to prospecting emails. But then same thing, sales letters, which I'm having great results with sales letters. Sales letters could be sent out at a rate of 50 per week, right? So 200 per month. And at a 10% response rate, which is absolutely doable, that would be 20 leads per week, right? Coming in, or excuse me, 20 leads per month coming in. And these are your costs right here. And then lastly, and these were just 3 items that I put in there, guys. There's some other ones that we could put in there, like voicemail drops or ringless voicemail, for example. There's a lot of things that we could do. These were just the 3 big ones that I'm using for prospecting right now that works really well. Postcards, for example, that's another one. Here it shows the costs and everything else. And if you're sending out 50 or 200 postcards per month, and you get a 3% response rate from postcards, that's 6 leads in a month. So that'd be a total from just these numbers here of 34 leads generated per month by targeting these specific monthly, weekly, or daily goals, right? And all the costs are associated into there. And then you can plug in your percentage of your average conversion rate. So how many times, if you make 10 proposals and you close 3 of them, that's a 30% conversion rate, right? So you plug all those numbers in there and you plug in what your average profit per sale is, whether that's average profit on the front end, or what I like to do is calculate what my average profit of monthly profit will be for a client if I'm able to land them. And so you can play around with these numbers, but then what it does is it will actually project what your gross revenue per month will be, and then after your expenses, and this is what your net monthly revenue will be, and then your yearly net revenue based upon those numbers. So you can go in here and really fine tune what it is that to figure out what your primary revenue goals are, that your desired revenue goals are, and then break it down into how much marketing do I need to do to be able to make this many to get this many leads in per week, to make this many proposals with this much of a conversion rate to be able to hit that target revenue goal. Then you can adjust your marketing around that number to where you can almost guarantee that you're going to hit that, provided that you do it consistently. And last part I want to say about this is how do you make sure that it gets done consistently? Stop doing it yourself, right? That's the thing, guys. I guarantee none of you guys are going to want to stay on top of sending out. I'm going to show you guys throughout the training how to have a VA, teach a VA how to do it. It's all completely brain dead simple to have, and you can do some of the programs that I'm using for direct mail. You do it all from online. So it's just point and click, a few clicks, and boom, an email goes, or a letter gets sent, or a postcard gets sent, all of that stuff. So you can train a VA to do it, and that becomes the VA's job, right? The VA does this on a could be a daily basis, an hour per day or 2 hours per day, or they could block it all in like on Monday, work for 5 hours on one particular task, if that's the case, however you want to break it down. But that way, you know, it gets done, because what's going to happen with you is you're going to get tied up putting out fires or playing whack-a-mole, which is what we all do as business owners. And you're not going to prospect. You'll put prospecting off to the side because other more important things will come up, right? So that's why you want to delegate this as soon as you can, so that you know that it's getting done week in and week out, regardless of your input. Okay. So anyways, I know that went way longer than I wanted to do, guys, but I thought that was valuable. Any comments on that before we get into questions?
No, I mean, there's comments from me. That's good stuff, but I don't see any questions right now. We got some good ones though that kind of touch on some of this stuff. So I guess it's about time to hop into questions. Anybody else? Any closing comments?
I'm good.
Anybody?
All right.
All right. Let me zoom in one more and we'll get into this. Okay. So the first question comes from, looks like Justin. He says, "Hey guys, support told me to ask this question here. Thanks. I was going over the battle plan training and am confused on the categories. It was said we should do this permalink structure category / postname. That's not absolutely necessary. That's if you want to. You know, after 2X your agency is done, guys, we're in the next 12 weeks, the battle plan will be updated. That's going to be on our to-do list. So anyways, just kind of want to point that out. That's not absolutely necessary. You can do that. It's not going to harm anything, but just to carry on, that's not absolutely necessary. You can leave it at postname if you'd like. It's perfectly fine to do that. Create main location pages to silo. Create category with same slug as page setup. 301 redirect to send the category page to the main target page. What's the point of creating the category if we're just 301ing it to the page? Because if you understand silo structure, then you're going to want to stack supporting keyword content articles, right? So posts, blog posts. That's how you build depth into a silo, right? So you create a category and then you place every related keyword. Every time you do a supporting article, a post, which will be published as a post, when you're targeting a supporting related keyword, right? Then you're going to place that within that category. So you're adding depth to that category. Okay, does that make sense? And so all of the way that the taxonomy structure is within WordPress is all of the link equity that flows through that category, especially when you have proper internal linking too. But it also flows through the category structure. The relevancy does, so that you end up creating the content silos. So when the bots come in and crawl a particular a category, a content silo, then when it goes from one post to the next, to the next, to the next, within that particular category, that silo, it will start to paint a picture, right? Develop a picture of what the overall theme of that particular category is, which ultimately creates buoyancy, which helps everything within that silo to rise in the SERPs if everything is done correctly. So that's why, because a category index page, guys, for most websites, especially local businesses and such, they'll have the top of their silos will be the services that they provide, either products or services, right? And so if they're creating a silo structure where they're posting articles about a particular service or about a particular product, and they're placing it in that category, it's not really necessary for a visitor, a user, to go to the website and click on the category just to see all the blog posts within that particular category. So we 301 the category index page, which is like a blog roll page for all the posts within that category, over to the primary service page or product page on the website, because we kind of want to push all of that relevancy to that page on the site that we're ultimately going to rank for that top level keyword, which is also set up for conversions like lead generation or sales or whatever the conversion goal is. Does that make sense? So hopefully you understand what we're talking about there, but that's basic silo stuff. You know, you don't have to, if you want, for whatever reason, you to have a category index page on your site to where people can click to go to a category and see all the posts within that specific category, then you don't have to 301 the category page to the actual page, right? You don't have to, you can leave it that way. I like to 301 them, but you don't have to. Does anybody want to comment on that?
I think that's great.
Okay. He says, and what should, and we should both no index and no follow categories, or what's the current best practice for a local service type site? No, you don't. Well, see, that's the thing. If you 301 your category index page, your category archive page over to your page, then you wouldn't want to no index, no follow it, because there would be no need, because it's not going to index as a category index archive page because it's 301 to the primary service page. Does that make sense? So it doesn't matter. If you're going to not 301 it, then I still wouldn't no index it or no follow it, because there's no reason to do that. There is a reason at times to no index tag pages, but I don't see the reason for no indexing category pages unless you had category archive pages that weren't 301 and you only had one post in that category, because then you end up with a category archive page that, depending on your theme, could show the whole post within that category. And now you've got what looks like duplicate content on your site. But most likely you're not going to have any categories with just one post. And if you do, there's no reason to have a category archive page. You should just 301 it to your primary service page. Okay. So anyways, hopefully that was helpful.
I just want to point out that there's a really good video in YouTube about this, right? The simple silo. And I can post it on the page. I can go look for it and post it. But
just
I really
like
like
YouTube channel and go
use the channel search function, and you can find the video.
In fact, if you just go to, I'm just going to show so that maybe this will help other people too. First of all, go to our channel, youtube.com/semantic mastery. Click the search icon up here for search channel. That will search just the videos on the channel, or you can go to playlists. And if you scroll down in here somewhere, there should be silo structure playlists. Somewhere in here, there's a silo structure playlist, and it's got all the videos in there specifically about how to create silos and all that kind of stuff. But all you need to do is just click in here and click silo. I think structure.
Just silo will bring it up.
Yeah, silo would too, I'm sure. Simple silo structure setup, complex silo structure setup. Those are the two right there. 4 years ago, then they haven't changed a bit. So,
no, the theory doesn't change. It's perfect.
That's right. All right, beautiful. Next. Okay, so Sean's up. He says, is there a negative effect for PR on one particular page when, for user experience purposes, I use multiple HTML anchor links in the body to link to one other particular page? Okay, so is there a negative effect for page rank if you link from within the content body of a page or post with multiple HTML links to the same target or destination URL with different anchor text phrases? I don't think that's best practice, but Marco could probably do much better job of explaining why that would be good or not good.
First of all, there's no such thing as negative page rank. So there cannot be a negative effect for page rank. There can only be a diminishing page rank where you're splitting it up. If you know, adding 2 links on a page splits the whatever page rank you have 2 ways. If you add 4, now you're splitting it 4 ways, so you're only getting 25% through each link. Why would you do that? If they're all going to one other particular page, you only need 1 link. Doesn't make sense to add all of those links. I don't even see it why you would do it for user experience. And if you have to do it, then what I always suggest is find another way to code your links so that you don't divide your page rank. And that's as far as I'm going to go with that in a free group.
There you go. Next question is, all the major tools support the keyword research in English, but how to do the keyword research for other languages? Example, I have a blog in Hindi for Indian readers, but I'm not sure how to do it for non-English languages. That's a really good question. I don't do anything but US-based projects, so I can't really answer that, but I know Marco and Hernan might be able to help.
Yeah, so SEMrush has a big database of different keywords. So even if it's not in the database, you can actually search Google on the Google keyword tool within SEMrush in different search engines, like different country TLDs. So you can actually go that route. So SEMrush, I think it's one of the best, and it has allowed me to do keyword research in Spanish and other languages. I'm pretty sure that they have Hindi in their database, and yeah, that's how I would go ahead and do it. It's the tool. It's one of the best tools when it comes to keyword research in other languages.
Yeah, I would say SEMrush probably has Hindi in its database because of how big it is. Now, I'm not sure if my favorite tool of all time, and you guys know what that is, it's Power Suggest Pro. Yeah, you could actually geo-target. So Bradley, why don't you open that up and
boom,
and
so
use the geo-targeting function over to the right, where you change countries.
Oh, got it. Okay. See, I've never done it, so I've never changed countries, but yeah, right there.
Yeah, so you can set the country. You don't reset Yahoo, but of course.
He said India, right?
India.
Yeah, India.
Okay, so I'm going to say reset or okay. India. Okay, cool. And then I don't know.
And then okay, and then you start searching.
Did he specify what?
And see what it spits back. Like I don't speak Hindi, so I can't give you any keywords that you would look up. But I mean, try it out. Well, what is this now? 57, 67 bucks. It's literally nothing for guys. There's gold in here.
Give me a demo keyword to search.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there's money in this tool. Yeah. You just have to learn how to use it to find the money keywords in your niche, and you can target. This is working bottom up, right? You can target the long tail, start targeting the long tails, and they're like dead simple to start ranking for.
So this is bringing back the keywords from like suggest from Google and YouTube in India, but it's still returning them in English though, right? That's what you're saying?
No, probably because we put a keyword in that.
Oh, you got to put it in Hindi. Probably.
Yeah. Let me see.
Go to Google. Let's do this live. Go to Google Translate, okay. and see what the Hindi word for keyword is. Let's do that keyword. And translate to Hindi.
Let's see, English to, you said Hindi?
Oh, it looks like it's the same.
That's what he said.
Oh, there you go.
Where'd it go? Oh, there it is right there. Okay, let me try that. Let's see if it works. So that's for keyword. It brought back a suggestion, but it's got the English modifier. So
why don't you try the asterisk before the word space
wildcard? Yeah.
Yeah, asterisk after space, and see if anything comes back. That it brought back 2.
And if that doesn't work, the last thing I'm thinking is try the I don't know what you call it, but where it's like the Englishized
Right.
Spelling before it, like keyboard.
Keevad. Is that the one?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You mean that version right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing like a live test.
Live,
how we
live
do.
test. It's not coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, it was worth a shot. Nothing beats a try but a fail, right? That's what Marco always says.
Got that right. Answer the public. I'm checking all of the ones that I know. Maybe Google suggests in your native language. I'm sorry, not Google suggests. Google Trends.
Yeah.
In Hindi, you could start that way, and maybe dig into those keywords and see what Google will suggest. But that would be what I would say.
Cool.
I just went through to SEMrush, by the way, and they do have the database in Indeed, so they have a bunch of keywords there. So that's another option.
Cool. Thanks, Hernan. All right. The next one is from Dan. He says, I have a site where the owner retired, but it is still ranked and giving leads. Can I simply 301 redirect all ranking pages to another site, or how would you handle the situation where I could still take advantage of the traffic? You can 301 it, but the problem is if you have another site in the same area that's optimized similarly and that kind of stuff, then you could 301 it, and it may very well, the 301 target URL may very well end up replacing in the SERPs where the current site is ranked. But it's unlikely unless you already have some, like if you can't just like build a brand new site, 301 it to that and expect it to rank. It's not likely to happen. You'll see usually significant dancing and all that. I'm not saying it can't be done. It can be, but one of the other things that you could do would be, so that you don't lose or do any dancing or lose positioning, would be to iframe in your new website page into the existing pages, so that that's what comes up at the top above the fold. That's something that you could do. That way you're still taking advantage of the existing positioning of the existing site, but you can 301 it. That's something you can do. But again, you'd probably want to have another site built that was similarly optimized, similar structure and all that kind of stuff, so that you're not pointing from a site that is doing well to another site that's not optimized well, where you end up, you'll lose that positioning. You're still likely going to see some dancing anyways. Marco, what say you?
Yeah, it's gonna dance. I mean, I don't know what it is that he's trying to accomplish. Right? I understand that he wants to take advantage of the traffic. The 301 redirect will work, but as you said, you'll have to change the pages and have a similar structure on the 301 destination, so that you could get the most effect. It's still gonna dance, but it'll probably come back, especially if you put the SEO shield around your new project.
Don't they have I didn't never really like to use them, but don't they have those ranking like plugins where you can overlay another page on top of a page? I know that's technically cloaking or something. It's frowned upon by Google, but I know there's plugins that you can overlay one page on top of another page, so that you could display a different page on top of what's already ranking. The other way to do it would be to just, like I said, embed a different web page into the page that's already ranking, make that the top, above the fold, everything else, to where when a user lands on that page, they'll still likely, they'll still see the page that you want them to see, but it's not actually cloaking. What do you think about that one?
Well, you could actually have a responsive iframe to take the whole page, but again, that's cloaking. However you call it, it's cloaking. You get caught doing that, you're gonna get de-indexed. So all that work that you did, you're gonna lose it.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I never liked using these WordPress plugins that do that, but that might be one there.
Yeah, I don't even like talking about this, because people can get into a whole lot of trouble. Then they come back and say, well, you told me to do it. No, the fuck I didn't.
Yeah, no, I said specifically, I don't like to do it. I'd rather use the iframe model, but yeah, you could do that. I'm not telling you to do that though. Be careful, because yeah, you can get in trouble for that. Your site can be de-indexed. Okay, let's see. This is a great question from Matt. He says, what has been the most effective method in getting clients to chase after you? Specialization. So niche specialization is number one. That's been the most effective for me. And consistent follow-up. Those are the two. That's it, period. I mean, if there's two things I can tell you, it's, well, number one, you have to have a prospecting system in place that is providing a steady stream of leads, right? But then once you've engaged with that lead, how do you get them to follow up? Well, number one is if your agent's a boutique agency or a niche specific, where you cater everything to that one type of business, that tends to get people to pay more attention to your pitch than it does to others. Also consistent follow-up. And again, we're going to talk about that, but the vast majority of the sales are made through the follow-up. So, you have to get through a bunch of no's to get to a yes. And that's going to be, if you one and done it, like, in other words, if you pitch a prospect one time and they say no, and you leave it, you never contact them again, then you're going to have a really hard time ever really growing your business. The best thing to do is, once you pitch the prospect, if they say no, that's okay. It just means not yet, right? No just means not yet. So if you put them on some sort of follow-up campaign, which again can be automated, or it could be delegated to an outsourcer, depending on, a virtual assistant or an in-house employee, to make sure that the follow-up gets done, then, it might be different depending on what kind of clients it is. You might just want to reach out every 3 months. You might want to be more aggressive and once a month contact them again. Various methods: direct mail, email, voicemail drops. You could call them. There's a number of things that you could do. But typically follow-up is where you're going to, because it's crazy, but especially if you have aggressive remarketing set up, once they've engaged with you, they're going to start seeing your brand everywhere anyway. Right. And then if you follow up with them, outreach to them once every 3 months or whatever time schedule you want, send them a piece of direct mail, lumpy mail, a postcard, hit them with direct ringless voicemail, things like that, once every month or 6 weeks or every 3 months, whatever schedule you want. But you just remind them, besides what they're seeing from the remarketing ads everywhere, you remind them, hey, I'm still interested. If things have changed for you yet, give me a call. That kind of stuff. That's where you're going to start seeing it, guys. But too many people give up after one no, and that's the biggest problem I see.
All right, so I'm seeing this differently. I'm reading this differently. How you get people to chase you is by providing massive results that just blow people away, so that they have no choice but to brag about you. They tell their friends about you. They go to their dinner meetings or their business meetings, and they're talking about you, and people are seeing it. This is how you get people to chase you instead of you having to go out there and chase you. It's called POFU. It's what we talk about all the time. You're at position of fuck you, so that people are coming to you instead of you having to go to them, and then you're picking and choosing who it is that you work with. Interestingly enough, just yesterday, we had our mini mastermind meeting. And we have one person that's actually there that is picking and choosing. We have another one it's just getting massive results, and the name gets around. Once you start doing that, if you're the person wherever it is, and I happen to know that Matt is in Arizona, you become the man in Arizona, and you provide massive results for whoever your client is. They're going to brag about all of the shit that I got this fantastic guy who's just doing all of this for me, and people will come to you. You'll get referrals. You get tons, as a matter of fact, of referrals if you want them. You'll have the client, your current clients coming to you and saying, hey, you mind if I have a buddy who does this? Would you mind helping him? And it's like, he's already talked to his buddy. They already know your fee. The sale is already done. They've done the close for you. All you have to go in and is just go talk to the person and say, okay, yeah, make the deposit and we'll get started.
You just gotta agree on terms.
Yeah, that's how you get people chasing after you instead of you having to chase after them.
Yeah. I'm going to add real quick that, you know, how you sign up for some programs or some stuff that they'll teach you how to grow your agency, whatever. And they're like a one-trick pony, right? And if that doesn't work, the rest of the program doesn't work. And that's one of the things that I'm really excited about, is that each of us have our own approach to stuff, right? I don't want to get through a bunch of notes to get a yes. Bradley does, and he's a machine, and I totally respect him because of that. But I'm more like, okay, I want to create a whole lot of like goodwill in the marketplace so that people will search for me. And I kind of shared that a little bit on the personal branding that I talked about on the on POFO Live 2019. And that is something that I'll definitely am looking forward to share with you guys, how you can position yourself as an authority in your niche, in your marketplace. I totally agree that you need to niche down, but then how do you get yourself known? So that is one of the things that I want to share with you guys, but it's basically goes out like this. You need to be consistent in putting out good content and putting out like massive amounts of value, so that when people reach out to you, I don't want to reach out to anyone, they reach out to me. So when people reach out to you, then you have the position to say, hey, yeah, let's talk and let's work together, or no, listen, you know, that this is not going to be a good fit and whatnot. I was like literally talking to a potential customer yesterday, potential client yesterday, but I decided to not go for it because, you know, it wasn't a good fit. So that gives you that leverage and whatnot. And it all comes down to leveraging the personal branding and a couple of strategies that I want to share with you guys. So this is a great question. And I think that the fact that you have like 3 or 4 or even 5 like different approaches to client generation, you can pick and choose the one that it's right up your alley, right? The one that resonates with you and the one that you want to go out. Like, do you want to brute force the marketplace? Go ahead and do it. Here's the blueprint on how to do it. Do you want to do it in a way that it's cool and you don't have to talk to anyone on the phone? Here's the blueprint. Go do it. You know, so I think that's pretty cool, and that's how, you know, we're aiming to have this. So.
All right. And last but not least, I'm going to put my 2 cents in on this and say it's a good combo too of all of these. Because like Hernan, I know what he's capable of. Not only have I worked with him, but I've seen the results he's done. And talking about providing value for people, he's provided massive value for me. So when I hop off a call with an agency owner who has 50 to 60 clients and he's looking for someone for PPC strategy and work, who do you think I recommended? Did I go out and look on Upwork? Fuck no. I sent email to Hernan and said, hey, here's the deal. This guy seems like he could use your help. Are you interested? And Hernan said, yeah, I'll check it out. You know, and that extends. I've done that in the mastermind as well. I know that there's people in there who have certain specialties, and this is not just a pitch for the mastermind, but it's about providing results and sharing those, and so people understand what your value is, and then that becomes part of your referral network.
Absolutely. And just to clarify, yeah, I agree that when I say get through a bunch of no's to get to a yes, I mean if you have people, like, the best way to prospect is to have inbound marketing. Is I totally agree 100% with what Hernan said, because that's when people seek you out. When you're starting out, you might have to you're likely going to have to do outbound prospecting in order to get some revenue in the door, some clients in the door, to generate some revenue. But the idea is to build that presence, that brand, so that people start to seek you out. And you can do that a number of ways, niche specific or industry specific, so that you become a big fish in a small pond. Providing extraordinary value, which is what Marco said, that whether it's in a particular industry or if you get referrals from just other businesses because you provided massive value to, a client and it's referred you, whatever the case, those are all great ideas. Those are all great ways to have clients come chase you and all that kind of stuff. But what I meant was, and I might not have been clear about it, was you're not going to close 100% of your proposals, even on a referral basis, even though you're probably, most of you guys are, including my partners, I'm sure when you get a referral, it's almost a done deal. It's almost a closed deal. You usually just have to agree upon terms, as we had already said, but sometimes you can't reach an agreement on terms. And if that's the case, don't give up on that lead, because that lead still, they're that prospect, you've already had a communication, built some sort of rapport with them. You just the timing might not be right for them, for whatever proposal you sent them, whatever offer you sent them. So you have 2 options there, or 3 options. Let it go entirely, which would be a complete waste of time. change your pricing structure or the terms which you, so in other words, you know, kind of lower your standards for what you expect, which I don't recommend anybody do. Or number 3, put them on just a follow-up schedule to where you touch them. You know, when I say touch them, meaning you contact them in some way, shape, or form on a regular basis every so often to remind them that you're there until they're ready. Because again, time and circumstance changes almost everybody's mind. So anyways, we're almost out of time. We'll try to run through 1 or 2 more really quickly, guys. Sorry we didn't get time for everybody, but it is what it is. So the next one is from No Marketing. It says, how do you handle the changes that G made after January update? Did Google make a January update? Anybody?
I heard there was a core update.
I heard there was too. I'm being an ass, because fortunately we haven't seen, you know, a lot of the times I don't even know updates occur except for the incessant chatter online, or when people post in the group about, hey, you guys experiencing, and I'm only saying that because fortunately we've been, the methods that we've been implementing, developing for years now have been specifically for strengthening the entity for the semantic web, hence our name, Semantic Mastery. And it seems like every time we experience or we go through one of these updates that are revealed to us by somebody like you on our Hump Day Hangouts, we haven't been affected by it negatively. In fact, a lot of times we experience a positive effect. And in fact, in our mastermind community, there's been several people that have talked about, that have posted results showing the positive effects that their sites have seen since the January update that you speak of. So we haven't done it. So the next part of this question, which we'll probably answer, my local service site dropped to 2nd page and there is less real estate for organic listings. Do I need to change anything or just follow the battle plan? Strengthen the entity. I want to hear Marco's opinion on this. It's probably all we're going to have time for, but if that's the number 1 most important thing you can do right now is to strengthen the entity. What do you agree, Marco?
Totally. It's the SEO shield. We call it the SEO shield for a reason. It's set up the way it is for a reason. We're after basic web principles. We're not after hacks or things that may, well, it could change tomorrow, but then again, we could all die tomorrow. So we don't know. What we have right now has been working for about 5 years, some even longer. For example, Syndication Academy, and then just everything that we do, it's just based on web principles that even Google has to observe, because their foundation is what we're after. That's where we are. That's what we target. That's where we play. That's our playground. And so until they do a monumental shift in their algorithms and in their math, our methods are going to work, period.
Beautiful. All right, last question. First is a comment from Fitz, and then we're going to answer Fitz's question, which is next, and then we're going to wrap it up, guys. Fitz says, good day, gents. Thank you, Marco, for the amazing charity you have started to help kids, and by helping them, helping their families to have a pathway to a better life. Thank you also for the charity series of webinars. They are very, very helpful. So that one's for you, Marco. Fitz then asks, the question for today for me is, when you were mirroring the gsite to money site, is it okay to add other pages that are not on the money site? I like to embed my videos from YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, but not money. Well, you can't embed Facebook that I'm aware of. Maybe I'm wrong, but as far as I know, you can't embed it, but not the money site, only on a page on my G site. Is that okay? I don't know what Marco's answer is going to be on this, but I do it. I mirror in the relevant pages into the G site, but then if they're supporting content that can help to add relevancy to that page, like a YouTube video, for example, then I would add that in there. Or I might add, I might iframe in a press release, for example, that is particularly relevant to that particular page, for example, something like that. I do it, but I don't know what the actual professional's opinion is on this. Let's say you, Marco.
In Dedia's case study, he embedded the corresponding money site page in the G site, and it's working. You guys have seen how it's working from what he's saying in the mastermind. So by all means, and if it's relevant, if it's part of the entity, why would you not I mean, this is the beautiful thing about what we do, is that since it's ours, we can do anything we want with our entity. It's part of who we are. It's part of what we are on the web. So anything that reinforces that can only help, especially when you're doing it through iframe.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's some interesting things you can do there, guys. I'm just going to mention one, and it's 5 o'clock, and we're going to wrap it up. But, you know, for example, you could take your category RSS feed, for example, from your website, your money site, and convert that into a feed burner feed, and then use the Buzz Boost, which will create an HTML version of your RSS feed that then you could embed that into the gsite on that page within that particular, you know, that corresponding mirrored page for that category. That makes sense. So now you've got not only the embedded web page, but you also have the feed with the category, with all the posts within that particular category, dynamically updating that page, if that makes sense. Because every time you post something new within that category, we'll update that feed, which is an HTML version of a feed burner feed embedded in the gsite, which is another Google property. So it's another iframe stack within Google. So you can do that with tag feeds, tag RSS feeds, category feeds. It's really crazy, which there's a lot of stuff you can do with it. So, okay. That's about it. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, just real quick, wanted to say, like we were talking about at the beginning, if you'd like to double your agency, and by that we mean doubling your revenue without doubling your time involvement, head over to 2xyouragency.com. As Hump Day Hangout watchers, we've got a special deal going, but it's only going to last for a few days. So 2xyouragency.com, find out more, hop in, get started there, whether you're a consultant, agency owner, digital marketing, SEO, whatever it is. If you have clients, this is the place you want to be.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. See ya.
See you guys.
Bye, everyone.